This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online, but more on them later. It's that magical time of the year, state of the collection, looking at all the watches that I own, and honestly there hasn't been any big moves since last year's state of the collection, but I have added in a few new watches. Strap yourselves in, this is going to be a long one, and let's do this, let's get into it. Let's start with the watch that I'm wearing right now. This has probably become my most worn watch of the past few months. My 1996 TAG Heuer Formula 1. I feel like I talk about this one too much, but I just genuinely love it. For me, it's one of those nostalgic pieces. I always wanted this growing up, and I knew my parents would never, not in a million years, would they buy me one. So I don't know, it's just one of those cheap and cheerful watches that makes me so happy. It's a very personal one to me. I strongly prefer these on the bracelet rather than the rubber. And the side benefit, I've been using the dive bezel to time everything with baby stuff. So I've just come back from maternity leave. This is my first video I'm filming back. But yeah, this dive bezel, this watch has been the most useful piece in my arsenal. Okay, so that's the watch I'm wearing. We have so many watches to talk about. Let's start with this watch roll. And these are some of my favorite watches. So we have the Tudor Black Bay 58, the Black Bay 54, and the NOMOS Club Campus. So the Tudor Black Bay 58 is really the watch that got me into watches, like properly into watches. I was dipping my toes in before and I had a couple of watches, but this is the watch that made me into a full-on watch goblin. And this was my first watch with some real beefy specifications. So 200 meters of water resistance, in-house movement, the MT5402 COSC certified caliber, 70 hours of power reserve, aluminum or aluminum bezel. I controversially prefer aluminum over ceramic. I know not everyone does, but I do. And I just can't wait to see how this one ages and patinas over time. My other Tudor, which is really close to my Black Bay 58, I feel like I almost can't justify having both of these, but it's my Black Bay 54. It really feels almost the same in the specifications department. Slightly different caliber with the MT5400, just slightly smaller. It's in every other way the same, but the big thing with this is the case size being 37 millimeters, 11.2 millimeters thick. It feels like the dive watch that was made for me. If you have a smaller wrist, you already know this, but watches like this are really hard to come by. Something with good specifications, good looking, no diamonds. These almost never come around. I don't think this one will ever leave my collection. And next, the last one in my watch roll, of course, my NOMOS, the NOMOS Club Campus 36mm deep pink. I feel like it takes a certain kind of person to look at the deep pink and think, yeah, you know, this is a bit of me. But this is exactly what happened to me and this watch. So this is actually one NOMOS let me keep after doing a review. I was just so taken with it, and my contacts, after I had done the review, my contacts at NOMOS got in touch with me and said, look, we've talked to the powers that be, and we really want you to keep this watch. And I was absolutely floored. Not in a million years did I see that coming. So the Club Campus is their sporty line with the big bold colors, California dial. But the real big thing with NOMOS is their in-house movements, so this one is fitted with the manual winding alpha caliber. If you follow my channel, you know I could gush about NOMOS all day long, and I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to keep it at bay because I have some NOMOS gushing videos coming up in the future, but that's not today. So that is the watch roll. Let's tackle this mess now. Where to start? Let's enter Rolex land. But first, let's open the mystery watch roll. Ooh, what could it be? It's a massive thank you to today's video sponsor, Squarespace. As you guys already know, Squarespace is kind of a dream channel sponsor for me because I already use and love their products. If you're doing anything online, you need a website, whether that is growing a brand, selling products, maybe you're a content creator. Whatever it is, Squarespace is here to help with all of your website needs. They have a fantastic collection of website templates for you to choose and put your own mustard on. I've personally just discovered this new tool called Squarespace Blueprint AI, where you just write your site description in the prompt, choose a writing style, and bam, there it is. It's done for you. Easy peasy. And you can review and edit the work before you publish. I feel like this is what I want AI to be doing. I don't need AI generating pictures of Edward Cullen being chased by Lightning McQueen. Not that I would ask it to generate that photo anyways, but this is what I want AI to be doing. I want it to be making my life easier. As you guys know, I am slowly, very slowly, working on a watch publication, and I've been using Squarespace to do this even before they were a channel sponsor. They've made it so easy that even a dum-dum like me, who never thought they could make a website, can make a website and make it look good with tools like Fluid Engine, which allows you to drag and drop and really make it your own. So yeah, if this is sounding good to you, go to squarespace.com/BrittPearce to save 10% off your first purchase of a website using code BrittPearce. Use that code so they know that I sent you and they want to keep working with me forever and ever. Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. And now let's enter Rolex land. This is a mess. This is way too many watches. Let's start with possibly my favorite watch that I own. One of my favorite watches that I own and one of my most worn watches, my Rolex Oyster Perpetual. This was my first ever Rolex, and this is one of those watches that could easily be the only watch you owned if you had to have a one watch collection. If I had to, for whatever reason, sell every single watch I have and only keep one, it would probably be this. It's simple, but not to a fault, understated, but still sporty. You could dress it up, you could dress it down, mechanical movement, 100 meters of water resistance. Like if this was food, it would be bread. It's that everyday staple. In fact, I'm going to put this one on right now. I'm talking myself into it. It's been lovely wearing the F1, but let's switch it up. So I have the 34 millimeter, and I feel like it's kind of an awkward one. I don't think it's one that many people go for. This specific size comes with a couple of unique things. So single baton indices all the way around, whereas the 36 millimeters and larger has double batons at 3, 6, and 9. And it has these tiny Roman numerals around the minute track, and no other size, no other Oyster Perpetual has that. Now, my other Rolex is the opposite end of the spectrum. The Oyster Perpetual is entry-level Rolex goodness, whereas this one is quite a bit harder to get. The stainless steel Daytona, black dial. I freaking love this watch. I love this watch so much. I know it's one of those hype boy pieces, and I don't want to love it as much as I do, but I understand why people love this watch so much and why they get so jazzed up over it. If you put it on the wrist, it's just so good. It works with larger and smaller wrist sizes, chronograph complication, and it's just a joy to wear. The one I have is the older reference, the 116500 LN, which I got back in August 2020 or 2021. But it actually wasn't me who got the call on this one. I only had the Oyster Perpetual. This is too hard to get. They weren't going to call me on this one. But it was my husband who got the call. But only a couple weeks beforehand, he had bought the Patek Philippe Aquanaut. And then our Rolex AD called with this one. Then I stuck my big fat nose in there and I said, look, you just got a grail. This is a grail for me. Please, 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 please. Could I be the one who gets this grail? And he was kind enough to give up this allocation to me. So thank you so much, James. Don't get your partners into watches. If you're someone who's trying to get your partner into watches, don't do it. You're going to half your spending money and they might try to steal your allocations if they're horrible like me. Hopefully you have a nicer partner than me. This is making me look really bad. Let's go to a different watch. While we are on iconic chronographs, the Omega Speedmaster. This is probably the most special piece that I have. So this is a vintage Speedmaster pre-moon, and I believe this is the first Speedy reference to don the lyre lugs. The watch by itself is already freaking special. But then, on top of that, this was actually a gift from one of the most gorgeous people in Watch Fam, the Old Watch Lady on Instagram, or Owl. She let me borrow this for a video, and while I had it in, I got in a really horrible accident. I got hit by a car on my bicycle. Sometimes I say it laughing now, but it actually was incredibly life-changing and life-threatening. And Owl texted me saying, I wish you a speedy recovery. I want you to keep my Speedmaster. And after texting her and protesting and saying, you really don't have to do this, oh my goodness, and her absolutely insisting, I couldn't believe it. It is the nicest, the most radically kind gift I've ever received in my life. It was at this point where I was at probably the lowest I've maybe ever been. And it was just something that really boosted my spirits. And I wore it every single day while I was recovering. And I kept crediting it to the watch. I said, it's giving me a speedy recovery. It really is doing its job. But no, it's beautiful. Okay, next, let's talk Cartier. And I really need to speed this video up, but it's just so hard because every watch has a story and all my Cartiers, of course, have a story. So my Tank Solo, this was the first luxury watch that I ever owned. My husband bought this for me on our first wedding anniversary. And you know, this is one that watch collectors might sometimes be kind of rude about.
Who would ever spend that much money on a quartz? Why would you even buy a quartz watch? I would never buy a quartz watch.
Which is an attitude that I hate. Like, get over yourself. Just let people enjoy their watches. No one's making you buy a quartz. For me, when I received this was the finest thing that I ever owned. I could feel and see like a different quality in this. There's nothing I ever owned. There's nothing I've ever owned in my life before this point that was as nice as this. I felt so proud every day when I put it on. I never thought in a million years that I would own something with the name Cartier on it. Yeah. Love the Tank. Oh my gosh, there's still so many left. This is what mental illness looks like. This is not normal. Now my other Cartier, the Cartier Santos Dumont, this was once again a gift from my husband for my 30th birthday. This was a watch I had been lusting over. I had been stalking for a really long time, but it was actually the Santos de Cartier that I wanted, not the Dumont. The Santos de Cartier is far more sporty. I love the bracelet, as you probably know if you've watched any of my videos. The Dumont was never on my radar until I tried it on. So I tried this on side by side with the Santos de Cartier, thinking I was going to buy or be interested in buying the bracelet version. But it was this one that stole the show for me. I wasn't even thinking about the bracelet option anymore after I had tried this one on. And this is why it's also so important to go in and try things on. Try on different things because you never know which one might take your fancy. All right. Okay, let's get out of mainstream brands and onto some micros. Starting with British micro brands, we have the Studio Underdog and a Fears. I feel like this is a weirder Studio Underdog to have. When I think of them, I think of the watermelon and crazy colored chronographs. But this is a field watch with a closed case back and 100 meters of water resistance, available in 4 different colors, but I went for probably the most boring. Not the most boring, the most classic. So I have the Midnight on the green leather strap. I don't know if Studio Underdog is going to do something new again this year, but I really hope they do. I think they knocked it out of the park with these. And my other British micro brand, Fears. I'm so proud to have this one in my collection. Fears is not only a British micro brand, but they were also founded and still based in Bristol, which is where I live. So this one is based off the Redcliffe Edwin edition, a super limited quartz model, and this one that I have specifically was only for Fears owners and friends and family. We are so honored to be friends with the fabulous people over at Fears, and this one, once again, is very freaking special. So this has a glossy black lacquer dial and what they call a party dial with so many different fonts with the numbers. It's just really unique, happy. I feel like I should do a full video and a full review on this one. So if that's something you want to see, let me know in the comments. That would be really fun to make. Another British micro brand, Brittany. Yes, freaking yes. The Christopher Ward 12 36 millimeters in Nordic blue. Is Christopher Ward still considered a micro brand? I don't know. As a professional, I feel like I should know this, but I don't know. So if you know, let me know in the comments down below. Honestly, I think this is the watch to own from Christopher Ward. If you want that Genta look, but you're not about to spend some Genta prices, the stainless steel retails for about £1,000, which isn't nothing, but it is real value for money. Integrated bracelet, 100 meters of water resistance, mechanical movement with the Sellita SW200-1. Yeah, awesome watch. All 3 of these British brands are just fantastic. Moving on, and I won't linger here too long because I know the MoonSwatch is a contentious topic, but I have the Mission to Jupiter with the sand kind of color palette. It's the Kirkland brand IWC Mojave Desert, and I freaking love this watch. I don't want to love it as much as I do, but you like what you like. And I have the MoonSwatch Polar Lights. I bought this one off a friend who didn't end up bonding with it. And if it was the Kirkland brand of anything, it would also be an IWC, the IWC Patronus. I love the MoonSwatch. I know not everybody does, and I totally get why people don't like it. I do get people's complaints with these watches. They are overpriced for what they are. But guys, we're watch collectors. Overpaying is what we do. Okay, guys, this is the very last watch. Freaking finally. And this is one of my new acquisitions of this year, the Seiko 5 GMT. This is one I was umming and ahhing about for some time. Should I buy it? Should I not? Do I need it in my collection? I don't need anything more really, but you convince yourself that, do I need this? But ultimately, I did end up buying it, and I have zero regrets. This is something I feel like I should say because when you get into the world of watches, it makes you delusional about prices. This is a very affordable mechanical GMT, probably the best value mechanical GMT you can buy, but it retails for £420. And that's not nothing. This is still something I had to think really long and hard about. I just think sometimes we begin to get delusional and we think, £400, what a cheap watch. And it's not. But it is incredible. I don't want to say bang for buck. I don't want to be that person. But it is incredible bang for buck. Now I do have a little confession. I do have one more watch that I've got really recently. It was a push present from my husband. And it's a beautiful watch. It's fantastic. But I've decided I'm actually not going to share it on my YouTube channel. When you're a person who's on the internet a lot and makes videos like I do and you share your life really publicly, there isn't many things that you have just for yourself. And I've decided I'm going to keep this watch to myself, just between my husband and I, and maybe people who know us in real life and see me wearing it. But I do have a secret new watch. All right, guys, I need to stop talking. This is way too long of a video, possibly my longest video yet, but this is my watch collection as it stands right now. This is the state of the collection for 2024. I clearly have some form of mental illness. There is no way normal people should be doing this. And this isn't all of my watches either. That's the crazy thing. I still have G-Shocks, some brand deal watches like my IFLs. I just wanted to keep this video the watches I've specifically bought, if that makes sense, or, you know, if that makes sense. Let me know in those comments down below if you want to have a part 2 where you see all the watches. We get everything in here. I can make that happen. And I'd love to know in those comments down below, what are the watches that you have in your collection? What are your favorite ones, most worn ones? Let's just talk watches. Thank you once again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. And now let's thank the gorgeous, fabulous, wonderful Pope tier patrons. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! The names on the screen are the fabulous patrons. I've made this awesome piece of fan art for you guys to enjoy as well while your names are on the screen. And I just thank the gorgeous, fabulous, wonderful Pope tier patrons. Thank you all tier patrons. You're all obviously amazing, but a special big shout out to the Pope tier patrons. I hope you keep enjoying my content. Bye!